life is so short. I would hate for you to leave having never had those songs and those moments where you're like, I am good enough and I am that girl and I am and it's so interesting because like rap music and all this music, people don't care, they love it. But when a woman goes out and says I'm the shit, all of a sudden everybody has a lot to say. And I've definitely experienced that since releasing these songs. But it's like I want that teenage girl who's in front of me at my show to be like, wait, like they're just obsessed with me. Like they're mean people because they don't have a life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think there's so much power to that lane of music, and I wish people would stop pretending like it's just arrogant women. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Haven. How are you?
I'm good.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm excited to chat with you. Of
Yeah, thank you for having me.
course. I'm Adam, and that's Tara, and we have a podcast about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new record that you just put out and the tour and everything else.
Amazing. Love it.
Cool. I always start kind of just with your origin story. Born and raised in Tennessee, is that what I saw?
Yes, yeah. Born and raised in Clarksville, which is like right outside of Nashville.
Very cool. Talk to me about that a little bit. You come from a musical household, I saw.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I grew up actually on a tour bus the first like 7 years of my life because my dad was a musician. So half on a bus, half at home, and was homeschooled the whole bit. So obviously, me and my brother fell in love with music from a really early age. So we were in and out of Nashville. Nothing is foreign about the music industry for sure.
That's awesome. So growing up, you tour with your dad then. That's amazing. Did you learn guitar or anything like that early on from him?
Yeah, I learned piano pretty early on from him, and I started learning guitar, but it really pissed me off because it hurt my hands. So
Oh, sure.
yeah, so I quit that for a little bit, but I picked it back up when I got in high school.
Okay. So but up until you said 7 or so, you were splitting on the tour bus and home?
Yeah. Yeah, so up until I was about 7 years old, it was getting on the bus every time dad went, and then once I got to be about 7, my brother was around 11, he's a little bit older than me. We were like, "We wanna make friends and, stay home and do the whole thing." So we stayed homeschooled, but we stopped going on the bus with dad.
Okay. And would you stay at home with your mom?
Yeah, mhm.
Okay. Well, that must have been tough though. Was he gone quite a bit then on tour? Still
Yeah, for
from
sure.
8 on?
Yeah, he was like 150 shows a year, like, he was going for it. So it was usually our schedule was he would be home, Monday, and we would have him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he leaves Thursday.
For tour, and then you come
Yeah,
back and okay.
yeah.
Very, very cool. At what age did you start, playing piano?
Oh my gosh, pretty young, pretty young. I honestly don't even know. I feel like whenever my brain could comprehend it is when I started. I was just in like basic piano lessons with a lady from church. And then my dad started explaining to me Nashville numbers and all of that.
Oh, wow, so you learned that system early on too?
I did, yeah. It is still Nashville numbers is no joke, man. It still takes me a minute. I have to really sit there and like ponder before I can tell you what the five minor is. But yeah, my brother is honestly amazing at music theory. He picked it up so fast. So
Oh, really? Does he still play?
he does, yeah. He's my drummer actually. So he's on tour with me right now.
No way, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really
Wow.
fun. We almost kill each other every once in a while, but for the most part, it's very fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, because the national number system, I'm Tara and I moved to Nashville like in 2021,
Mhm.
from San Diego. And I started learning about that when we got here. And I was like, wait, what is
Yeah.
this? And it's just like this whole other language of how everyone's able to play with each other and all those different like honky tonks and everything
Oh, yeah.
downtown. It's crazy.
Yeah, nobody talks in chords at all over here. It's like, "Okay, we're in the key of C and it's 6-4-1-5, go." It's like, "Oh god." So, yeah, you very much you pick up on it very fast once you're in the setting.
Sure. Did you play in the bars downtown? Is that like where you started out or no?
I've done that a couple of times, but weirdly enough, that's not where I started out. I had like a couple of shows in my hometown, but honestly, my plan was to get through high school and then to hopefully sign a writer's deal and break through as a songwriter. But American Idol ended up just completely intercepting that. And so before I was even really old enough to be playing in the bars in Nashville, I was on the show. So it kind of skyrocketed me a little fast.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
So did you want to learn the numbers because you knew that was just kind of the system of Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm still like trying to learn it and get it in my head the right way. My band helps me so much in continuing to learn that. But yeah, it is a cool just like process of thinking about it. And it is actually easier once you get into it. It just takes me a little bit of like the other day I was in a writing session and we wrote in the key of C, but for some reason the five was a minor. And you can't really explain that unless you say, oh, the five's a, like it just I don't know what key we're in, but the five's a minor. You know what I mean? It's just it's helpful.
Okay. You're speaking like a totally different language to me because I don't understand it at all. But I mean, I understand what a minor and major keys are, but like when it comes to numbers and all that, I'm just like, this, it's
Oh
just so
yeah.
mind blowing to me.
So, yeah, it's essentially it's like if you're in the key of C, then your one chord is a C. So it's very helpful actually. We have this like rule of thumb in the band is if everything goes wrong, play the one. Just play the one, and we know it'll work with everything. So yeah, it's just wherever you're. It's really helpful on a piano if you're trying to talk numbers on a guitar when you're learning it. It's kind of hard to explain, but when you have a piano, you can actually count it out, and it makes a lot of sense.
Got it. Right
So
on. So with you said you wanted to do songwriting. So when do you start writing your own songs? Like, are you fairly young at that age, or when you started doing that?
for sure, for sure. I think when I could, use a pen, I was writing songs, just because
Wow.
that's what dad did, so I wanted to do it too, and, I remember very vividly, I wrote a song about Santa Claus. It was my first completed song. It was in the middle of June, um, and I think I still have that songbook somewhere, but yeah, they weren't good by any means, but I could make a thing or 2 rhyme every once in a while, and that was one of my favorite things to do.
Was your were your parents like supportive of that? Like, I mean, I know I've had other people on that have had parents that have been successful in music, and it's almost like sometimes they're like, "I don't want you to do this." It's like so hard, or it's so up
Yeah.
and down.
No, for sure. My dad definitely tried to hold me back for a while, and not in a toxic way or anything. He was just like, "Just wait, just wait." And I literally, the song that kind of blew up for me is the chorus is "What if I want it now, and what if I don't want to wait." So, um, uh, that didn't work out, but he definitely was very encouraging of me pursuing my dreams. But he knew the reality of music, so he knew that you have to be strong as an ox to do it. So I remember when I was 14, he took me to meet like a big A&R guy from Sony, one of his friends. He was like, "Yeah, like we'll take you to a meeting." And I actually found out just very recently that that was his last attempt to try to talk me out of it.
Oh,
I
wow.
remember that meeting. I remember that meeting, and I was like, "This guy, he's a great guy." And this guy was just like telling me essentially how freaking hard it is, and that it's a ramp, and it's not gonna. I remember leaving that meeting like, "Okay, so music sucks." Um, and I found out recently that they went into that with the goal of trying to talk me out of it. And if that didn't scare me enough, then I was meant to do it.
Wow. Yeah, your dad's like, "All right, just be so brutally
Yeah,
honest and rough on her, and just
yeah,
you're not
yeah,
gonna make it. It is impossible."
yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's so true though. You have to be able to look at everybody saying you're crazy and keep pushing.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard through interviewing a ton of artists on here, just like people will say, you're gonna hear them, a million no's before the one yes, and it's like you have to be
Yeah.
able to fight through all those. Yeah, it's not gonna work. We're not signing you. This isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. And then one person will give you a chance, hopefully
Yep.
down the line, and then that'll
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
work
and
out.
I feel like your mindset, it's kind of like being an athlete. It's like you have to be like just the tiniest bit arrogant. And so I've always believed in all the meetings I'm stepping into is like, I'm gonna do this whether you join me or you don't. So I would love for you to help me, but I'll be damned, I'm gonna make it work with or without you. Um, and I
Yeah,
think
a
that
little bit of that
mindset,
delusion, right?
yeah, a little bit. But I think that'll take you pretty far if you've got just a little bit of delusion.
I love it. As far as American Idol goes, how did you wait in line? I've had numerous people on here that have done American Idol or gone through
Yeah.
it, and there's so many different stories. Whether it's somebody reaches out to you on Instagram or something, or it's you wait in the line, like David Cook waited in the line with his brother, and
Right.
his brother was going to do it, and he wasn't even going to do it, and he ended up winning the whole thing. So it's like you hear all these different stories. Like, what was your like tale? Did you go and wait in the line for days on end? And
Yeah, so, because of COVID, that line no longer exists. They've swapped it all to Zoom now. So you have to go
oh,
through quite a few rounds of Zooms before you can get in front of the judges. So I had no intention of being on American Idol. I like did not care. Was like in my lane, was gonna do my thing, and somebody commented on my social media that they sent me an email, and I fully thought it was a scam, so I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
whatever." Um, and then I clicked on their account, and they had pictures, like, all over the set of American Idol, and I was like, "Okay, like, maybe this is real." So, honestly, just for the hell of it, I took a phone call with her. She was saying she was a scout, she really wanted me to audition. I was like, "I don't know." I remember it was my brother's birthday, and I stepped out of his dinner to take this phone call, and I, told her a little bit about my life, about my dad, about growing up on the bus, and she was like, "You have to audition, you need to do this." And so I was like, "Okay." Like, I'm thinking, that because I'm not like an Ariana Grande type of singer, that it's just not gonna work for me. I'm much more of an artist, and I was like, "Oh, just whatever, I'll throw it out there." So I was fully expecting to get told no in every single round, and for some reason, I just kept advancing. I was like, it was honestly until I stood in front of the judges, I still thought it was a scam. Getting on the plane, going, doing the whole thing, I was like, "Mom, like, we might be, like, getting kidnapped or something," like, but, it was so crazy. My family and I were just so, not that we didn't believe in me, but, we were just shocked that it was very clear that God was over the whole thing.
Yeah. Wow. And then you get there and obviously you get on the show and you do well. I know Tara and I watched that season and she
Yeah.
was always a huge supporter of yours. Like you want to tell
Oh.
her, you cried when you'd come on and sing and she'd start crying.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's so sweet, 'cause I was not singing on key. I can't watch those videos back. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." It's been interesting too being on tour. Everybody's like, "Wow, like, your voice has improved so much." I'm like, "I know, I was just 16 when I was on the show," so it's like, the pressure was on. I was, like, trying to not log my knees and pass out, so my vocals weren't the best, but that's okay.
It was amazing, like, just the emotion that you had, like, in singing about Avery, like, I was like,
Mm,
I get teary just thinking about that watching your performances, and when I listen to you, I still see, you on stage on American Idol, and it just I it's it's awesome that you were able to do that for the whole world, because
mm,
I think that just the awareness that you bring to it, and the love and empathy that you have for a family member. Like, many families wish that they had that kind of support, and so it's
mm.
great role modeling. And uh, do you think, like, my brother would probably not want me to, like, expose things like that? Like, was Avery okay with it? Did he know that you were going to sing that song?
Yeah, he was in full support of it. We've been through a lot together. We were knit at the hip when we were on the bus, and then when he started struggling mentally, it really, like, it kinda made him just not like our family, and so it was a weird complex for a really long time, and even when I wrote that song, it was, like, a big, big deal for me to show it to him, and it was scary. But he's on the backside of it, and he wants to encourage people, and he wants to tell people that they're not alone, and so he was like, "Haven, go, do it, do the thing." And I think it was really healing for the both of us. It was a big step for both of us to be like, "Hey, we're gonna tell this really hard story in front of, like 30 million Americans." But um we felt like it was necessary to possibly save one person.
Amazing. Yeah. And then to be not only the subject matter and the song itself, but to go on there and do an original song at
Yeah.
all is a move, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because a lot of you good out, you finally make it to that level, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm on the show. Well, not only I'm gonna do a super vulnerable song about my
Yeah.
family, but not only that, but it's an original that no one knows. So
Yeah.
you're already kind of putting yourself a few notches down, unless you get them when you get up and sing a hit that everyone knows. It's like, oh,
Right.
okay, like yeah, I like this one.
Right.
Your own original
Um
song, like, but that's a choice you have to make, you
For
know.
sure, for sure. I did originals literally as much as I could. I ended up singing both of my originals twice,
Hmm.
just because I knew that that was my strong suit, and I was like, man, I would hate to be on a platform like this and not use my voice and say something. I never want to be an artist that doesn't have something to say. Um, so I was bold, and in my Zoom auditions, I sang my original, and then in front of the judges, I sang an original, and Hollywood Week sang an original, spun them, and it honestly it ended up serving me really well because Katy Perry sang my original with me, which was just unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very proud of 16-year-old Haven for stepping into that.
That's amazing. Well, so you get off once you get off the show, are you obviously, it's awesome that you did it and you got so far and it's helped you. You're on a tour with other people from the show and all of that stuff. But like, were you ever kind of worried about being, oh, I'm just gonna be Haven from American Idol? Was that ever
Mm.
like a stigma you didn't want to have, or did you not think about that?
Honestly, it wasn't a huge concern of mine. Every once in a while, it would be a little bit like, okay, I wanna be Haven who has good music, not just Haven from American Idol. But I think I always knew stepping into Idol that I wanted to be somebody like Kelly Clarkson, like Carrie Underwood, who made it and they can say, hey, and she started here. Like I was
Sure.
never ever gonna be one of those people who was like, I don't want to be an American Idol person anymore. Like, no, like I'm so full of gratitude that that happened. I don't know what I would be doing right now if it didn't happen. I know it would be a lot harder. So I'm forever grateful for that. But definitely I knew once I stepped off the show and once I was done with that, like this is where the real work begins. And I'm gonna latch on to the fact that this is where I began and be so grateful and use it and enjoy it. But I know that I want to amount to a lot.
Sure. I mean, and once the show is over, are you right away? Are you like, let's put out music. We got to keep this,
Yeah,
flame going.
it was like immediate. As soon as the show was done, I was taking meetings with labels, with publishers. I was doing all of it, and you can't release music until 90 days after your last episode you were on, I believe.
Mhm.
So I was in the studio, I was working, getting ready to just start sending it out as soon as I was done. I ended up, I think in June, right after my season, I signed a record deal and a publishing deal and just got straight to work.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And what was did you release that first EP with that? Was
I
it after
did.
that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was after that.
All the things I didn't say. That was that EP.
Oh
No, that was even
no.
before it. No, because you already had that song. That was the ones that you were doing on the show. It was
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
came
that was
out and
before it.
yeah, you put out Turn Off All the Lights. That
Yeah.
was what it okay.
So good. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
I love that
you.
you're singing to, I just you are such a powerful woman, like going out there and the words that you're using. Like I'm like, yes, you're such a
Ah,
badass. Like I just love it.
thank you. Thank you so much. That means the world.
Yeah, so talk to me about that EP then. Are you working on it like right after the show?
Sorry, 1 second. You said what? Okay, I'm almost done here. Sorry. um,
Somebody has to use
I'm
the bathroom.
yeah, somebody's like, "Hey, can I use this room?" I'm like, "Hold on." Sorry. Okay, see, this is the reality of touring. We sitting in a Planet Fitness. We do what we gotta do. Okay, what were you asking me? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm curious about the EP. Like, do you start like are these songs like Kiss the Ground and Sky Up and those were those songs that you already kind of had you're working on prior to even getting on the show, or was that did you start fresh right when the show ended and start working
No,
on
I
these songs?
started fresh with those. Those were once you kind of when you get into songwriting, you have to like speed date a bunch of writers and figure out who you work well with and what you like, what you don't like, what you are personally. I learned very quick that I'm a strong top liner, and so I don't necessarily always need another top liner. So you kind of learn the rhythm. So those songs were once I found like my person. His name's Dave Pittenger, and anytime I have a session with him, I know I'm gonna leave with magic. And so those songs are once I had really like discovered my people and found this whole new lane of like power pop. So yeah, those were fresh.
Love it. And the
Yes.
newest
So,
one is
so
Obsessed. Yeah, go ahead, Tara. Do you have a question
I
about
was
those?
sorry. No, I'm just fangirling out. This is the first interview that I've done with Adam since we've moved to Tennessee, I want to say. So
Yeah, so it's been like 4
I
years.
had to be here. So sorry.
Oh my
I
gosh.
yes, thank you. But yeah, it's just awesome that you're able to speak to the people that didn't believe in you. And it's like, haha, like I shouldn't even be writing about you. I
Oh
love
my
it.
god, you talking about how you like me now?
Yeah, and like the obsessed song, just like it's just so good. It's just like yeah, and then
Yeah, I think I just love that kind of music. Like I love listening to like Ariana Grande's new album. Like, oh my gosh, I have it on vinyl and I just blast it in my apartment. Like the kind of music that makes you go, "No, I'm the shit." I love
Mhm.
that. I would hate, life is so short. I would hate for you to leave having never had those songs and those moments where you're like, "I am good enough and I am that girl and I am." And it's so interesting because um you know, like rap music and all this music, people don't care, they love it. But when a woman goes out and says I'm the shit, all of a sudden everybody has a lot to say. And I've definitely experienced that since releasing these songs. But it's like I want that teenage girl who's in front of me at my show to be like, wait, like they're just obsessed with me. Like they're mean people because they don't have a life. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think there's so much power to that lane of music, and I wish people would stop pretending like it's just arrogant women.
Yes, amen. I love it. Yes, you inspire. It gives me goosebumps. So thank you for
Oh, thank you.
bringing them.
I love it. And with like, I know you're on tour now and growing up essentially in a tour bus, like how supportive, like, I mean, it must be pretty awesome to have your dad, who's a successful musician. He's done this. So you probably run stuff by him. Have you ever ran like songs by him or lyrics or anything like that?
Oh yeah, he's on my management team, so he helps me with everything, and I feel we do butt heads every once in a while, but I feel like it's so nice to know that there's somebody on my team who just would never ever do anything against me, who would always protect me and always help me make the right decision. So yeah, I run a lot by him, and it is very funny. Some of the songs that I have to send through my management team, I'm like, all right, remember your management right now, you're not dad. But yeah, it's great. And having my brother on the bus with me right now, it's so nostalgic and special.
Well, I appreciate your time. I don't want you to keep the Planet Fitness whatever room you're in occupied for the whole day. But you're here in
If you'd like to
Virginia
do it in
now.
person
Yeah, let's do it in person. That'd be fun.
in the future.
Oh yes, I would love to. That'd be amazing.
Awesome. You're in Virginia now, and
Yeah.
then you'll be here in Nashville in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, making our way.
Awesome. I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice to aspiring artists.
Mm, a lot. Oh my gosh, let me think through. Um, I have a few things. A lot of it, my dad told me, if you want to live like a rock star, you have to work like one. Um, I think it is so important I think Lainey Wilson is such a great example. Like she was in the mud, she was in the trenches, and she wholeheartedly deserves everything she's at because she worked her butt off to get there. Jelly Roll, another amazing example. Like, we want to see people who work and who have something to say, and their need to speak is so strong that we have to listen. So you have to be ready to go. You better have a hard head, and also just know it's a tool you have to learn to consume advice and opinions, and to know when to stay true to yourself and when to trust your gut. So as early as you can, start trying to figure out that tool. But yeah, I think as long as you are a little bit insane, have a lot of drive, and have something to say, you'll be just fine.